This is Vermont Arcane with Warframe Breakdown, where we break down Warframe so you can be broken in Warframe. So what we're going over is the top 10 invincible Warframes to have in Warframe for 2021. I've narrowed it down to 5. I do have a much larger list because technically, depending on your play style, there's any number of Warframes that could really do the job if you tailor them and if you meet certain conditions, they could work as well. But these are the top 5 that are easiest to literally just make invincible. You don't have to put a lot of work effort into them. And we're going to go over them one by one. So number 5th on this list that we have, as you can see, is I've gone ahead and I've picked out Inaros Prime. And the reason why I picked out Inaros Prime as the number 5 slot, if you just look at in the top right corner, you can easily guess why I would have picked it as number 5. You can see that it's sitting at 9,027. I know you can get it up to 10,000, almost 12,000 if you go ahead and throw on the right mods and you make sure that you have the right squad. I suppose if I use my blessing, I can probably get up to 13. If somebody happens to have a wisp in the squad, I'm pretty sure I can get it up to 15k. But just the particular build I threw on, I just kind of threw them on just kind of sort of casually because regardless of what that health bar actually reads and depending on your actual play style, you might be like me, you might be sacrificing a little bit of health just because you really doesn't need it for a little bit more of utility, like maybe like mass clearing and that kind of stuff. But essentially, however you choose to build your Inaros, it's really simple to make them invincible. Now, because of this, people will usually typically charge through the nose if you're trying to actually outright buy it, but you guys are all in luck. Right now, you can get these items during the Orphix Venom event on Xbox right now, and you can get this lovely thing called an Arcane Grace. And then Arcane Ultimatum just makes it even nicer with some icing on the top. Adaptation is obtainable if you do arbitrations and you complete every single node on the normal star chart, and not still path, on the normal star chart. Complete every single node, you'll unlock arbitrations, which innately unlocks still path. And if you run that, eventually you can get this adaptation. Yes, I don't have it ranked all the way up. I have that intentionally because most of my builds can fit it on if it's at that rank. So I'm using this universally. I suppose I can max this one out and put another one all the way up, but it's not necessary. You'll see why relatively quickly. So between this, Arcane Grace. So actually, let me read what Arcane Grace does real quick. So we'll go ahead and go all the way down to this max. So 9% chance for 6% health regeneration per second for 9 seconds as soon as you're damaged. Huh, that's weird. I think they decreased that. It used to be 30 seconds, so dropping it all the way down to 9 seconds. That's a bit of a technically that's a bit of a nerf, but it doesn't really matter because with depending on the enemy that you bring in, majority of the enemies you're going to take so much damage, it's not going to really matter. The 6% is just crazy high anyways. Like 6% of like what 9,000 to 27. That's at least 600 every second. Like that's a lot of health. That's more health than most people's Warframes. So as you can see, I've thrown on a couple of things. I'm probably going to end up changing this one out in the near future, and that's just because they've swung this hammer so hard on it. Um, it's like I'm beginning to notice that the way that they have the mechanic behind it, they shouldn't have touched this ability. This was such a great ability. But I'll probably switch that out eventually. But as you can see, I just got some rage. I got a lot of health mods on, and if I really wanted to get a little bit more health mod, so I could probably switch this out. But I kind of needed this in order to get my prime sure-footed. I don't like getting knocked down. It's the bane of most people's existences, so I have that there. But really, it's health, armor, health, more armor, more health, and that Arcane Grace is just the icing on the top. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to try this out. I'm going to go ahead and bring in some corrupted heavy gunners. As you can see, I'm not putting an invincibility on. I'm not doing anything. We're just focusing on just the Warframe by itself, and we're going to go ahead and simulate that. So we're going to have a whole bunch of guys, and the way this is going to work is I'm just going to sit here. And I suppose, like, you can see that they're draining my health, but if you look at their enemy level, they're crazy high. If I do this, I can just easily get all my health back. This guy, he's blinded. Boom, boom. My health is kind of sort of coming back. So it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to really be able to have him take out these higher tier enemy levels. I can go through and eventually we'll just kill all these guys. I'll activate maybe this on this guy and I'll just wreck him. Maybe I'll activate it on this guy. Boom. These guys are all just getting hit by that ability. I'm just casually getting my health back. They can't really do anything. I suppose if I want to increase um, my armor capacity, I could do this. And activating my fourth and holding it just like that casually makes it even harder for them to kill me. So, you know, just wreck them like that. Got my health back. I'll stand out in the middle of these guys. Let's see. Oh, did they stop moving? Oh, they stopped moving, I guess. So, as you can see, my percent, it's not really decaying, and they're struggling to even knock it out. So they're not really getting a whole lot of procs off of me anyways. So all the damage that they would have normally been dealing, they can't. I'm completely immune to all of it. So it's just, they can't do anything. I'm just sitting here. And so because of this very reason, this is what makes Inaros ultimately unkillable. My health regen is regenning so fast. My armor capacity is so high. I have so much going on right here that the enemies at even level 180 cannot touch me no matter what I do. I'm just sitting here, as you can see, and I'm getting tickled. So that makes it so if you can do 180, that makes this Warframe very good idea to bring in for your still path, your higher tier missions, maybe against your end game bosses like Prophet Taker and Exploiter or Borolophantus or Eidolons. If you're just really just trying not to go down, this is a really, really great Warframe for that reason and that reason alone. Typically, you're not going to be a whole lot of help. If you're just running just a Warframe for Eidolons, just for clarification, you're going to need to bring something else. But as you can see, I'm just getting tickled, and it's pretty great. So I'll go ahead and kill these guys, since they clearly aren't going to kill me, and I'm going to cut through them like butter. So let's go ahead and, right now, it looks like we'll just kill those guys. I'll just delete that, and we'll get 20 more guys in. Here we go. Corrupted Heavy Gunner. We'll go ahead and spawn in 20. And then we're going to move on to our next Warframe, which is Revenant. And the reason why I put Revenant as number 4 is because technically with Inaros, yeah, he can go up against the level 180 enemies, but I've been with Inaros for like several hours in a single mission before, and he does kind of tend to have a tendency of tapering off at your level 300, 400 enemies. So if you're going for that long and you're tapering off at that time, that's what truly makes him not really invincible, because he really relies on the enemies not dealing so much damage, because basically everything is a percent reduction with Inaros. And that's what makes Revenant significantly better, because with Revenant, it doesn't matter how much damage the enemies are dealing. So if we go ahead and look at it, his Mesmer skin, it's all based off of number of charges. So as long as my charge capacity is high, and you kind of have to think Revenant a little bit less like your normal tank too, when we're looking at his abilities. But typically, this is the ability that you're really going for. The Enthralling and the Reeve and the Dance Macabre, those are all great in helping him keep his survivability up. And there's going to be another key feature that we're going to go over on why we rank him at number 4, not really at the top, above other Warframes. But oh geez, they already knocked me down. I didn't even get a chance to spawn in. Did they? Oh, there's a whole bunch of guys over there. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay. So, so the other reason why we're going to look at this, we're going to break down his ability kit. So I have 254% ability strength, and I have a lot of efficiency. I don't really care about duration. And the reason why you don't care about duration is because this isn't really based on duration. Like, you just have a number of charges. And so the stun is what the duration is for. So the higher your duration is, the more they're stunned for. So that doesn't really impact your ability to be invincible to the damage of the enemies, as much as it just, when they shoot you, they just kind of topple over and just hang down. So that doesn't really have any impact. Your enthralling, having the crowd control so that they fight one another, that will definitely help you. And then Reeve will help you get any health and shields that you may, like, while you're activating your abilities, and then your fourth helps it out a little bit too. So it's all based around the second ability, the Mesmer skin. So we'll go ahead and demonstrate that real quick. And we'll go ahead and bring these guys that were so eager to come and attack me and knock me down while I wasn't looking. So I'll just get myself a little bit of energy, which, you can easily simulate just by throwing some energy in a normal mission. Now, another thing I might add here is anytime you do see somebody in the symbol chrome, be very skeptical when they're talking. Definitely take it into your own mission and actually go ahead and try it out and see what happens. So you're going to see here in a second, I'm going to let them go ahead and do this to me. I'm going to let them kill me. It's on my watch. But as you can see, they have that opportunity to attack me. So when they attack me like that, that is their one and only opportunity to attack me is when that ability goes down. Now I'm going to go ahead and do it again. I'm not. I'm gonna I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna let them attack me again one more time, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna actually do it in the middle this time. So I got my ability active, and now I'm gonna reactivate my ability. As you can see there, again, as I reactivated my ability, that's when I died. And that's very an important note because that means when you're using your Mesmer skin, you have to run and hide while you reactivate it. Otherwise, the enemies do have a window of opportunity. So if you're not hiding in a nice little neat corner where basically it's got to be some random stray shot, then you could possibly potentially go down. But needless to say, this is the Warframe I've actually been in the mission the longest for out of any Warframe in the game. So with that being said, as you can see, I can potentially just sit here all day, even against these level 180 enemies, and they can keep on trying to smack me, and I won't care. In fact, they'll even topple over. And even when they're active like that and they're toppled over, I can actually activate my first on them, and then these people will eat each other. Not to try to quote Joker there or anything, but yes, they will eat each other. It's all activated again. So ideally, you're gonna also run out of energy, but because you have a high ability efficiency, it doesn't cost a whole lot, and the high ability strength is gonna make it easier for your first abilities to go ahead and activate on the other enemies, so that you can have them wreck each other. So I'm gonna go ahead and get myself more energy as if I threw down my own energy pad, and we can go ahead and begin wrecking these guys again. So yeah, that makes Revenant number 4. So if Revenant is number 4, that means there's got to be somebody who's a little bit better than Revenant. And I will admit, the other character, he does take a little bit of a wind-up charge. He's not really as neat as Revenant, but once you get him up there, he's up there, and you're there to stay. So we'll go ahead, and that's going to move on to Nidus. It would not be an accurate video if I did not talk about the top 5 invincible Warframes and did not make Nidus part of the same mix. Actually, I should probably before. Let me go ahead and just kill these guys. Oh, they did not die. Well, that's okay. They're just underneath my control. That's fine. They can sit there and kill each other. So let's go ahead. We'll find Nidus. You know you have a large account when you have to actually search for all your stuff. Okay, here we go. So now we got Nidus here. Oh, they're all back alive. Okay, let's go ahead and kill them again. And we'll do this. And we'll bring them back in. Okay, so the reason why Nidus now, I feel beats out Revenant is for this one reason and this reason only, and it's the stacks. Now, don't listen to a lot of other people. They'll say that, oh, well, Revenant you should switch out Ensnare for. So Ensnare has a smaller range when you have it subsumed and you throw it on a Warframe than Nidus' second ability. The developers did that intentionally, so you wouldn't necessarily do that. So don't listen to them. Don't throw Ensnare. Your second, innately, even at max rank, is always going to be better than Ensnare, and it's going to clump them all underneath a single point. So me just activating my first, as you can see, it does this thing where I get my energy back, and so I can just keep on activating it, and because they're all over this single point, I can keep on stacking up abilities. So you'll see that I got a little red circle down there in the bottom right corner, and that is the definition of Nidus and making him truly invincible. So Nidus' second ability does not have a cap, so that means I can keep gathering enemies as long as they're within the AoE. Ensnare has a cap at 20, so you can't really do that. So you really do want to keep Nidus' second, like I've mentioned before. And now, as you can see, my red circle has now turned into a solid. And so now that he's fully prepped, the guys, they couldn't do anything to me up until that point anyways, because they just come to the center. Now they're going to topple, and now I'm just going to let them kill me. or rather attempt to. So they're gonna knock me down, they're gonna shoot me, they're gonna try to do all these things to me. Oh, look, I'm back up. So every single time they drain your health, you're gonna get this undying. And this undying is what's gonna drain those stacks. So as long as my health keeps going down like that, I will stay alive. And like if I needed to get back up, I'll just activate my second again. For this reason is why you really want to build Nidus for range, because when you do start draining like this, you're going to be in an oh shoot moment, and you need to get all those guys clumped back up, and you need to start getting your stacks again. So we'll move it over. Well, when they come over here, they'll say like ensnare, you can recast, but again, smaller range, less guys. Anytime you have a smaller range, less guys, no bueno. You need to get all the guys. And we're going to try to get that guy over there. So as soon as my ability activates it, I'll just reactivate it right over here, and we'll get this last guy. And boom, we'll clump all those guys over. So we got that other guy in. Okay, and then now they're all over here, so that's great. And I just keep going. Now I can sacrifice some stacks, and I can do this. I can probably snag one of them while they're in the center there. And now these guys will both be giving me energy. And I can just keep doing that. So it's really beneficial that they stay grouped up like that, because every single time you do hit them, you're going to get more energy. And anytime you get more energy, you're going to get all of your health and stuff back up from your fourth. And you're just going to have them really crazy crowd control. Okay, but because your stacks can go down that fast, and as you can see, they were going down pretty fast with me just doing nothing, which is why he sits down at number 3 of our Warframes, and Revenant's at 4, and Anaros is at 5. Is because, again, you got that cap that goes on. So I'm going to go ahead and deactivate that and get rid of this guy. And we're going to bring us on to our number 2 Warframe. Now, this Warframe is going to surprise a lot of you. Now, to an unexperienced and unseasoned player, this particular Warframe is going to be like trash. People are going to say, it's trash, don't use it, oh my goodness, it's so bad. No, they're not very into Warframe. They don't have a lot of experience with a whole lot of things, and this is probably going to be the most surprising one out of all of them. It was surprising to me when I first learned about it, so it will definitely be surprising. In fact, this person that showed me this, like I thought they were bluffing, and I thought they were just pulling my leg. And I said, "Prove it," and I could not believe it when I went down. When I went down, I was like, "Wait, what?" And that is going to be our one and only Nyx. That's right, you heard that, folks. Nyx Prime, the crowd control Warframe, the one that's supposed to have Loki's fourth just kind of innately, and that's kind of sort of supposed to be just a little bit better than that. And so we're going to actually do something pretty crazy. I'm going to throw on Akuba Shield Egg, and let me go over her ability kit real quick. So I went ahead and I switched out the fourth. Now, a lot of people say, oh, the fourth, like the first is her best ability yet. You shoot and you get a guy and he does crazy amounts of damage. No, it's not. It's actually the worst. It actually hinders your Nyx, believe it or not. The best abilities that you got here are going to be your fourth ability, and it's going to be your Psychic Bolts. Now, I threw Warcry. Now, you can throw a number of abilities on. Warcry is the one I chose. You could throw on, let's go to upgrade here. I think there's another one. I heard that people liked Reeve when we were doing this, so Reeve is a good one that you could run on. You can run Dispensary. Dispensary is a good one, just because she's already innately a high ability duration Warframe. And then the last one that you potentially could throw on, I think it was like if you want to add additional damage, you can throw on like your standard like Grendel's Nourish. Those ones are going to be good because the Grendel's Nourish is going to give you toxin damage. Or you can even throw on Mirage's third, which is her Eclipse, so you can get the 300 some odd damage increase if you have like 200% ability strength. So I'm going to show you and demonstrate this one. So I got a crazy high efficiency, and if you notice between my builds, that's the one that stays constant. And that's very important because my other builds are all for different things. Like my very first ability is strictly going to be for my first configuration is going to be strictly for survival. And then my second ability is going to be strictly for defense. And then my C is going to be just kind of a general, well-rounded. It can do kind of sort of any mission kind of deal, including defense. And that's a very important aspect. And I'll explain those two differences in a little bit here. So as you can see, that ultimately determined the choice of Arcane. So Arcane Energizer is going to be a big one. And then you're going to want your Arcane Fury. Now, we'll go over Arcane Fury. You're probably familiar with Arcane Energizer. Arcane Energizer, it's on energy pickup, 60% chance to replenish energy to nearby allies. And it's a crazy amount of energy too. It's not like just a little bit amount of energy. Like you can get as much as like 175 per energy orb, so it's pretty crazy high. And then your uncritical hit with your Arcane Fury is going to be 6% chance or 100%, 80% melee damage to melee weapons for 18 seconds. Now those are both important. Now the other key thing to this build is going to be Assimilate. Absorb, Augment, Nyx can move 50% speed while using Absorb, but the area is reduced by half. Now so this is a very important as well. So you got to have your energy, you got to have your efficiency, you got to have your strength, and the other thing you gotta have that augment on, which means you need a really, really fast melee. So I went ahead and I picked this one. And the reason why I picked the Kuva Shield Egg is the Kuva Shield Egg has Crushing Ruin. Crushing Ruin is important because when you are doing the slide forward attack, it is not affected by any amount of negative speed mods. But it will increase really, really fast, and it will get your guy moving crazy, crazy fast. So I have Berserker, I have Life Strike, and as you can see, I have built this build for gas. And the reason why I built it for gas is because regardless of the enemy that you come across, you're going to want to have gas damage because they're going to have health. And the normal health that all the enemy types share is going to be that regular health, and that regular health happens to be weak against gas, whether it be infested, whether it be the corpus, whether it be the Grineer. If they have no armor, they're weak against gas. So I'm choosing my Kuva Shield Egg, which has a really lovely ribbon that is built for gas. And I'm going to have Crushing Ruin, so I can spin really, really fast, basically top to win. They got rid of spin to win to give us top to win with the Kuva Shield Egg, so that's why that's important. And we got Warcry to make it crazy fast. And we got our Absorb, we got Chaos Spheres so that we can get a couple of guys on our side. And then we got Psychic Bolts. And you're going to watch how this thing goes together, and it is gorgeous. Oh, shoot, I wasn't supposed to pick up the energy orb. Okay, oh well. You guys are going to see it. And I was not doing that intentionally because you're not going to need it. So watch this. So I'm spinning around in a hot second here. I'm going to activate my second. Now watch this. Now I'm going to spin around just all crazy like. I'm going to activate this and then watch these guys just get melted. And if you want me to go over the exact numbers behind this, you can actually calculate this all on your own to see your total output of DPS and how you can just melt these guys. Now, again, like I showed you on all the other ones, that I could just sit here and I can just take no damage. Now watch this. So I'm going to sit here and I'm just moving. So you can see two things. I've moved really, really fast with minimal effort. And then you can see I've stripped away their armor. I've hit them with every procs you can imagine. And look at how slow my energy pool is going. It is not going down very fast at all. And that is actually relative to the damage that you see up top there. So they're actually hitting me with damage, and the damage is making it drain just a little bit faster, but it's not enough to really make a big difference because if I want to kill them, I can just kill them. And it takes very minimal effort, 180. And so because of that, if my energy does happen to drain, the casting cost on it is so stinking low that it doesn't matter. Like, it really just doesn't. I'll just keep casting my abilities here. Like, I'll just keep getting rid of these guys. I can cast all these abilities whenever I want, however I want, whenever I feel like, and I don't care. And I can just sit here all day, and I can just be casual. And I can be a casual player, and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. But in order to get this build, you can look at that build and you can say, wow, that's a very, very costly build. It requires arcanes, I only have Orphix Venom in order to get those arcanes in order to make your build really, really amazing. I don't have that syndicate. That seems like a lot of work, and that means a lot of effort. And I really don't have time for that. So I really need something else. Do you got anything else, Vama, for me? Bet you do. I got some. Let's look at this. So here we go. So we're going to switch on to our number one Warframe. And this Warframe takes zero effort to get good results. And it is Hildren. Now let me explain this. I'm going to go in. I'm going to de-equip everything. And I mean everything. Except for Energy Siphon. That's it. So here we go. We'll de-equip that. Let's de-equip that. Let's just go ahead and de-equip that. I might throw on like a melee. I'll throw on a melee, just for good measure. We'll go with let's see, high slash weapon. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll do the Legion. Legion sounds like a good one. And then I'll go ahead and I'll de-equip my companion because we don't need it. I don't need it giving me anything. Okay, and this is why Hildren is, in my opinion, the number one invincible Warframe. It doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter the mission you take her into. She just doesn't die. One mod. As you can see, I only got 250 health. Here we go. I'm going to go at these bros. Look at that. You guys get me. I'm going to wreck your guys' hide. Or guess, or I'll just lay here. That's fine too. That's cool. But I'm not dead. Now, Murphy's Law says I should be dead. I should be dead. Like, I'm supposed to be dead now. Look at all those elemental procs. I should be dead. What is going on here? Why am I not dead? I should be dead. But I'm not. And here I am not dead still. Still not dead. Huh. Still not dead. Do you think they can kill me? Do you think they'll actually be able to kill me? I'll run up to this guy. Well, Vama, you're only using one type of character. What if there were other types of characters and stuff like that in there? Well, it doesn't do anything. Here, we'll switch it up because I guess that might not be good enough. Here, you know what? Let's throw on Eximus. They should be able to wreck my hide. So we'll go ahead and we'll kill them. Eximus is they should be able to deal toxin damage to me at a distance. They should be able to deal all sorts of things to me at a distance. So we'll go ahead and we'll throw Eximus on. Okay. So I'm going to go get these guys. These guys are going to wreck me, right? Oh man, that lag. Oh geez. We got some Arctic Eximuses here. Now these guys, they should be able to kill me. My health should be down. So my health has not dropped at all. And I'm sitting here going against these enemies. And I'm moving as slow as molasses, as you can see. And I should be dead by all means. So maybe let's wreck them. And I can just sit here. This will simulate enemies being way higher of level than I should be able to, be able to handle. Because I don't have anything equipped. I only got a melee. So it means they can knock me back all day, knock me around. And I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'm supposed to not be able to. Now again, I am in the Simulacrum, so it's not like a perfect model, because you're not going to get nearly as much energy from these enemies when you go into normal missions. But this one is, so this is why this is the number one, because it really doesn't matter the enemy type. They could be level 1000, they could be like whatever. It just doesn't matter. My Hildren does not care about what these enemies do to my Hildren. She just takes it. She takes it and she deals it. Now, I am foregoing all my abilities, so I can't use my abilities on them because I have no shields. But I can still kill them. So that's all it takes. One mod. That's it. Which means if it only takes one mod in order to get this kind of performance out of it, every mod that you throw on is literally just icing on the top. Here we go. Let's kill this last one. And again, you can take this into any mission to get this result. It really does not matter. So now those were my top 5, and I did mention that there were several other Warframes. Now there are several other Warframes I do think that are worthwhile to mention. I have actually a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other Warframes that I do feel are worth mentioning. One of them being Octavia, Gauss, Valkyr, Wukong, Baruch, Atlas, and Gara. And so let me go over a couple of these other Warframes while I'm here, and we'll just go ahead and show you why they are worthwhile mentioning. If you don't like Octavia, again, like if there's a Warframe you don't understand here, like, and you don't like it, if you don't like the Warframe, it's probably majority of the time it's probably because you just simply don't understand how the Warframe works. So let's take Octavia here for instance. Now you can do this in most missions. So I'm going to actually switch her configuration up because I don't have the right configuration. So I'm going to go to, as you can see, I've already named it. High ability duration, pretty high amount of range, and pretty high amount of strength. That's what I chose to go with on this build. And you're going to see I'm not going to have to do a whole lot. So technically, not technically invincible. And the reason why I say technically not invincible is because even though you're invincible, if you get caught in the crossfire of something and you happen to be in the bad place at a wrong time, it's like you're going down for the count. It doesn't matter what you do. But if you do activate, she has a crazy aggro on her first. And it really won't matter after that. Like the guys, they'll kill themselves. They will shoot, and I've come back, and these guys have already killed themselves. And the other thing is you can go invisible, and this invisibility lasts indefinitely. So that's what makes this. Yeah, so the guys have already killed themselves. So that is why Octavia is an honorable mention, is because even though she's not truly invincible, I can't just stand there. I have to use the abilities. That's why she's worth mentioning. There's another Warframe. We'll go ahead and go with it. It's Gauss. Gauss is another one of those Warframes that are worth mentioning. And the reason why Gauss is worth mentioning is because of his entirety of his kit. His kit works in a very interesting way. So even though I don't have any means of staying there and just standing there and being completely invincible, there is a way of actually making him completely invincible. All you got to do is activate his third and then activate his second. And the reason why this makes him invincible is because as long as you can keep that third and that second active, he remains invincible. It is conditional because as soon as those timers run out, he's down for the count. So that's why he didn't make it to the list. It's a little bit easier for that timer to go down, or if the enemies deal enough damage to the second and you're just not paying attention and you don't activate the third, then you can go down that way as well. But other than that, Gauss is pretty tanky. As you can see, these guys are relatively just stuck frozen. They can't do a whole lot. So we'll finish these guys up. Perfect. And oh, there's this guy here. He needs to die too. So that's why Gauss is an honorable mention. The other Warframe I have here, it's Valkyr. Valkyr's an honorable mention too because she behaves a lot like Nyx. You're building her the same way. It's all about that efficiency and duration. You just want to keep that fourth ability up as long as possible. The only reason why she didn't make it to the list is because you have a tendency of accidentally deactivating her abilities because they added a mechanic in that when you aim glide or you shoot, you then essentially turn off your fourth. So that's why it's a little bit less valuable in my opinion than Nyx. And what makes Nyx literally better is because you can't. So I'll demonstrate this. So I'll go ahead and jump, and I'm zoomed in, and now it's off. So you gotta actually just keep that fourth active the entire time. It is an exalted weapon, which is very, very nice. It just the base principal damage is just really, really crazy on Valkyr. But as you can see, the fourth ability is draining very, very slowly because I have it literally built identical to my Nyx in every essence. And instead, I also do have Wukong's fourth because I do like having the AoE damage. I suppose like you could do like the AoE damages as well, or to help out Valkyr out a little bit. I would even argue if you have like Thermal Sunder might be a good idea to have on, just so that you can freeze a couple guys nearby you and get some additional status procs for your condition overload that you might be able to throw on your exalted weapon, so you do have that. So I do recommend that. So that's why Valkyr didn't quite make the list, but does technically fall up there inside of the brand of the invincible Warframes per se. Okay, and then people are like, well, you didn't mention Wukong. Well, there's a very big reason why I didn't mention Wukong. So here, we'll go ahead, we'll pull out Wukong. And the reason why I didn't mention Wukong is even though he does have a passive ability where he's invincible, I can't tell you how many Wukongs I've actually seen hit the ground faster than they could say oops. And I've had to revive them with one of those other top 5 Warframes, whether it be the Hildren, the Nyx, the Revenant, or the Inaros. So my passive just went ahead and activated. My passive activated again. These guys are level 180s. I'm invincible for 30 seconds. That's all I get. Now, Wukong didn't used to be like this. Granted, on a normal gameplay, you're not going to just be standing there. But the fact that it didn't take very long for all that to happen within the very first few seconds of gameplay should kind of be a forewarning on why Wukong doesn't last to the end game and doesn't qualify for the relatively end game top tier survival Warframes. And it's just simply because that happens and I'm going to be dead. So I'm going to have invisibility for 30 seconds. And I've already used up all of my abilities. So I can't do that. So that's why I don't recommend Wukong. So he's going to become invincible in here in a few seconds. And then when he does that, I'll die. And here I am. And I'm dead. So that's why Wukong doesn't make it into the top 5 invincible Warframes. Okay. So here we go. We'll go ahead. We'll grab another Warframe here. And the last, we got 3 more Warframes on this final list. And we'll start with Baruch. Now, Baruch, you can actually make pretty invincible. Maybe if I can spell him correctly. We'll go Bar. There we go. Baruch, you can make pretty invincible. And because the way he goes invincible, there's only really one way to build him, and that's the ability range. Cap out that ability range as high as you possibly can, because that's the only way you're going to make him be invincible. So you'll see up against these heavy gunners, he's not a big deal, but we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to show you an enemy type, and this is where he instantaneously fails. So we got that. I'm going to activate the lull. So the first ability, as you can see, they shoot through me and they can't damage me. And my restraint is going to go up crazy high, and it's going to make it so that I can activate my 4th pretty quickly, and then I can wreck these guys. And you'll see against these enemies, it's not so bad. In fact, he's amazing. In fact, he deals for the enemy type, and like his 4th ability just changes to tailor to the enemy that you're fighting, and so he's really good at dealing damage to every enemy. But I'm going to change these guys up, and you're going to see something very, very interesting that happens. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll just kill all these guys real quick. I've already activated my abilities. We'll kill these guys. You guys already seen how to get them to work. Now what we're going to do is instead, I'm going to bring in some corrupted bombers. And the reason why this is a very important enemy type is because this is the #1 reason why Baruchs go down. There we go. Okay. Now these guys are going to wreck me faster than I can say oops. So I'm not going to have a chance. So they're knocking me over, as you can see. And then when they start actually shooting me, I'm going to die. And look how fast I died. You see how I went from essentially full health all the way down to zilch? And that's because Baruch is not impervious to AoEs. So anytime you have an AoE enemy type and you have Baruch, despite having the damage, you will die every time. So you can't really run Baruch, and he doesn't fall into the category of invincible Warframes, is because when you get one enemy type, he's gone. He's just entirely gone. And he doesn't have a stand a chance. And the reason why Hildren doesn't fall, people will say, like, oh, what about Ospreys? So Ospreys you can still avoid easier, and you can still use your abilities to get rid of them relatively easily. And because of that passive ability that she has, even if they do a toxin cloud over you, 98% of the time the element doesn't even procs anyways, because you're invincible to all damage. So that's why Baruch doesn't fall into the category, but Hildren does, because Hildren doesn't necessarily have an enemy type that she's not invincible to. So, and then we have another Warframe here, and I'm going to say Atlas. And the reason why we're doing Atlas now, Atlas takes a little bit of work. He's not, he takes a little bit to get up there. And so if you start off really hard, like you start off in Sil Path, Atlas does have a tendency of falling apart very early on. So we'll go ahead and we'll switch this enemy type up. We're going to switch him over to Corrupted Heavy Gunners. But he technically is worth mentioning, because once you do get him up there, he is pretty invincible, and you can last in a mission for a really, really long time. So as you can see, I got Eclipse on, so I'm going to go ahead and activate that, and I'm going to go ahead and start trying to wreck these guys. And the reason why I'm choosing the melee instead is because my very first ability is entirely based off of the melee weapon that I have chosen. So I've chosen to use my Tekos. And the reason why I chose my Tekos is because it's a stat stick. I got a 26% additional status chance and critical chance, but I've thrown on a lot of things that don't build off of my Tekos, but rather build off of my Atlases first. So I'm going to start using it. And now you can see that my Atlas has essentially become invincible. These guys cannot kill him no matter what. And so as long as I do abilities like Mirage's Eclipse and throw that on him, I'm going to be able to wreck these guys every single time with ease and without even trying. I can one-shot even that guy. Look at that guy. That guy just went down once. Boom. Boom. Okay, we're going to go like that guy. That guy's gone. And one more. Let's see. You're hiding over there. Perfect. Now, you can get his first ability to cost 0, but I wasn't able to get it in this mission because, again, this isn't normal gameplay. This is the Simulacrum. But you can actually get your first ability to cost 0, so you can do that indefinitely. And you'll be able to get that significantly easier while you're in normal gameplay because, as you can see, I got a circle, kind of like Nidus. When that circle fills all the way up, that's when I have max armor, and I do have an augment equipped. When I do hit max armor, that's when my ability costs 0 and doesn't cost anything. Wasn't able to show you in this, again, because my Atlas is isn't it's not normal gameplay, so I would have to be in for a really long time, and this would be a very, very long video. Okay, now the last one that doesn't quite make it to the list, but is definitely worth mentioning, is technically Gara. And the reason why I say that she's worth mentioning is because you can technically make her relatively invincible, and she can last for a crazy, crazy, crazy long time. But it's just that. It's just a damage reduction, a very, very high damage reduction. So I'm going to activate this, and that's going to get my damage reduction up. And then I'm going to go ahead and activate, well, if I'll get a chance. And then I'll go ahead and activate that. Jeez. Not going to let me... Trying to activate it. Oh, maybe I need to go get some energy. And so, see, that's why she doesn't quite make it into the category, even though she's a bit of a tank. I can't seem to be able to do that, so I can keep my fourth active. So typically people will build her for range instead. I got negative range, and the reason why I have negative range and ability duration is because I prefer to have the strength. But as you can see, it's significantly more worthwhile to, just tailor your ability. So having the efficiency and the range is, in my opinion, significantly better, and you can get it up way higher than you can with the ability duration that I have. I have these mostly for kind of like different mission tiers, more like defenses. So it's kind of like this is like got like a very small ability duration. But as you can see, I'm able to kind of hold my own for quite a bit of it, despite the enemy level. So, again, worth noting, but doesn't quite make it up because that's just what it is. It's just a damage reduction. So, yep. And that makes it for our top 5 invincible Warframes. Again, the top 5 Warframes going from the bottom of the list to the top is going to be Inaros, Revenant, Nidus, Nyx, Hildren, with Hildren being the number 1 that doesn't take any damage and takes the least amount of effort in order to be able to turn invincible. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time on Warframe Breakdown. Peace.